As the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy bites harder, the scarcity of new notes continues to disrupt business activities in Nigeria. The network of elected women councillors of Benin presented its best wishes for the new year to the president of the National Association of Benin Communes. A magnitude of 7.8 earthquake knocked down multiple buildings in southeast Turkey and northern Syria. Good afternoon, our dear viewers. Welcome to the 1 p.m. news edition, coming to you live and direct from Golfe AFRICA here in the city of Cotonou with Hazel OGOIGBE. Now to the news in detail, starting from the local scene. The network of elected women councillors of Benin Republic presented its best wishes for the new year to the president of the National Association of Benin Communes. He was also the mayor of Cotonou. For information in the following report. The network of elected women councillors of Benin presented its best wishes for the new year to the president of the ANCB, the National Association of Benin Communes, who is also the mayor of Cotonou. The mayor of Cotonou followed the traditional protocol of wishing everyone a fruitful new year and used the opportunity to make a brief overview on the challenges to be taken up by the institution during the course of the year 2023.
Cette cérémonie est une précieuse occasion offerte aux membres du REFEC d'exprimer une fois encore leur sincère reconnaissance à l'endroit de l'ANCB pour son soutien constant à notre réseau.
This ceremony is a special occasion, and REFEC members want to use it as an opportunity to express their sincere gratitude to the ANCB for their constant support to our network. The president, like an adage says, once there is still something to do, nothing has been done. The elected women beseech you to sustain the effort you are putting in and not reduce your effort in supporting us. Our wish is to continually be at the beneficial side of the activities that add value to us. Your support helps us, and with your support, we are able to reinforce our institutional visibility. We need the help of the government for subventions. We have been receiving support from the government since 2022, and the support has really been beneficial. This support enables us to be well equipped and survive in hard conditions that we encounter regularly. It also permits us to put in place an implementation strategy and implement strategic actions in various communes. It was a moment of recognition and commitment of Mayor Luke Atropo, who promises to make 2023 better than the past year for the elected female councillors of Benin Republic. Another highlight of the ceremony was the presentation of a symbolic gift to the president of the ANTB, a work of art that represents for the women the mayor's unceasing commitment to the network of elected women councillors in Benin Republic. Still on the local scene, on Thursday, the 2nd of February 2023 in Cotonou, Benin Republic, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Waters and Mines spoke at the workshop on the progress report on the implementation of the PAG project in the Ministry of Water, Mines and Hydrocarbon sector. It is with words of welcome and best wishes from the Secretary General of the Ministry of Water and Mines that the workshop on the progress report on the implementation of the PAG project in the Ministry of Water, Mines and Hydrocarbon sector, that it was declared open. This occurred on Thursday, the 2nd of February 2023 in Cotonou, Benin Republic.
Permettez-moi, Monsieur le Ministre, de prendre la parole au nom de tout le personnel du ministère de l'eau et des mines pour sacrifier à la tradition. Monsieur le ministre,
please permit me, Honorable Minister, to speak on behalf of all the personnel of the Ministry of Mines and Water. Honorable Minister, Ministry of Mines and Water and personnel, I wish you and your family peace, health and good luck. I pray that only good things will come your way and all those close to you throughout the year 2023. We also want to congratulate you for your brilliant election. Despite the hard times experienced during the electoral campaign, we observe that you continue to handle all the ministry files, no matter how pressing and urgent the files were, you were able to deliver on time. The workshop chaired by the Minister of Water and Mines was followed by the launch of the 2023 budget of the Ministry of Water and Mines.
Et pour reprendre les propos du chef de l'État à l'occasion des vœux de nouvel an au peuple béninois le 31 décembre dernier, je cite « Gouvernement de son Excellence ».
For me, it is a pleasure to preside over this ceremony, and I will want to pass across the message of the head of state, which he wished us on December the 31st, 2022, and I hope individually and collectively your expectations for the year 2023 will be met. The government of President Patrice Talon assigned a certain number of clear missions. A large number of these missions impact directly in the day-to-day lives of the citizens. That is why it is necessary to pinpoint the challenges faced and also to identify the general work before us before we continue in order to achieve the set objectives. Because 2023 is a year filled with a whole lot of new projects, and we also need to give feasibility to all the actors and make sure the programs are implemented. We therefore need to improve on our methods. We need to move fast in order to attain and fulfill all our objectives from the year 2022 to the year 2025. At the end of the event, the minister handed over mission letters to the various personnel heading the piloting of the water and mining program implementation.
Away from that, crossing over to Eastern Africa, regional heads of state have called for an immediate ceasefire by all parties in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now tensions there have grown amidst talks of war as Congo and neighboring Rwanda trade allegations are barking armed rebels.
Regional heads of state have called for an immediate ceasefire by all parties in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Tensions there have grown amid talk of war as Congo and neighboring Rwanda trade allegations of backing armed rebels. The ceasefire call was issued in a communique at the end of the...
There must be immediate ceasefire by all political parties. 2, the withdrawal, including all foreign armed groups, and directing the Chief of Defense Forces of all the partner states of the East African Community to meet urgently within the next 1 week and set new timelines for the withdrawal and recommend appropriate deployment matrix in different parts of Eastern DRC.
African Community, the EAC summit in Burundi. Secretary General of the EAC, Peter Mathuki, said there must be immediate ceasefire by all political parties. The calls follow international concern.
Next, the heads of state called upon all parties to respect and implement all the summit decisions and agreed upon themselves that any again violations should be reported immediately, and the summit now will take charge of this process.
The two countries could slide into all-out conflict as they did in the late 1990s and the early 2000s. Last month, Rwanda fired on a Congolese military aircraft it alleged violated its airspace. Congo for months has accused Rwanda of supporting the M23 armed group, whose origins lie in the region's ethnic fighting, and powerful voices in the West have openly agreed. Rwanda denies backing the M23, which is one of dozens operating in mineral-rich eastern Congo, and accuses Congo of backing another rebel group.
Away from that, crossing over to Nigeria, as the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy by TADA, the scarcity of the new notes continues to disrupt businesses, activities, and markets, restaurants, banks, and major sales outlets across Nigeria. Now, in the midst of the operational challenges being faced by small businesses, especially in rural areas, a survey showed that the point of sales called POS transactions charges have jumped to 400% in most cities across Nigeria last week. More information in the following report.
As the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy bites harder in Nigeria, the scarcity of new notes continues to disrupt business activities in markets, restaurants, banks, and major sales outlets across Nigeria. In the midst of the operational challenges being faced by small businesses, especially in rural areas in Nigeria, a survey showed that point of sales, popularly called POS transaction charges, jumped from 400% in most cities across Nigeria last week. The impact of the Central Bank of Nigeria policy and its attendant chaos have frustrated efforts by many Nigerians operating in the nation's cash-dependent informal economy to do business, make payment, and enjoy certain services. Findings showed that while the poor circulation of the new notes stifled economic activities, POS operators have also had a hard time getting both the old notes and new notes from banks in recent weeks. Some POS agents stated within the week that their inability to access cash has stalled their operations, while operators who struggle to get cash blame the hurdles they encounter at the banks for the increase in transaction charges. Across some of the mobile money cash points visited in Lagos, Abuja, and other major cities, reports stated that charges and transactions have skyrocketed by over 400% in Nigeria.
Management of the CBN has sought and obtained the approval of President Muhammadu Buhari to redesign, produce, release, and circulate new series of banknotes at 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira levels. In line with this approval, we have finalized arrangements for the new currency to begin circulation from December 15th, 2022, after its launch by President Muhammadu Buhari. The redesign of the currency will help deepen our drive to entrench cashless economy, as it will be complemented by increased minting of our e-naira.
It should be recalled that the Central Bank of Nigeria on the 26th of October 2022 announced the introduction of redesigned 200 naira notes, 500 naira notes, and 1,000 naira notes into the financial system. But since the notes were unveiled, Nigerians across different parts of the country have had a hard time accessing the new notes from banks and ATM points. Last week, amid the chaos caused by the scarcity of the new notes, the CBN extended the deadline for the phasing out of the old notes from the 31st of January 2023 deadline to the 10th of February 2023. Despite the extension, many Nigerians working in the informal sector of the economy have had to scramble for the new notes, while others lamented their inability to withdraw their hard-earned money from their bank accounts.
Come down, come and wear your clothes. I don't if I want to shoot me, make I die, make I shoot me. Make I die, sir. If they bury me, make I know, make I forget the problem. Make I die. See, listen. The non
what the government are doing is not good at all. How can somebody with your own money, you be doing like? With your own money, the way to remove your money is even problem. Yes. If you want to remove from the ATM, you must queue. If you want to remove from the POS, you must use your money to buy money. Is this how to do it? Is this how to do the government? They are not doing anything for us. They are not helping us. They are just collecting our votes for nothing and nothing's sake. They are not helping us. If our president has God, he should fear God that what he's doing is unfair to us and unfair to women.
There have equally been allegations of holding on the part of the deposit money banks, while some mobile cash deposit vendors are said to be exploiting the situation by dispensing the new notes to customers at skyrocketed prices. On Friday, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, asked Nigerians to be patient and join the bank queues in order to access their money. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian president, during a meeting with the Progressive Governors Forum, urged citizens of Nigeria to give him 7 days to resolve the cash crunch that has stifled productive engagements across Nigeria. As Nigerians besiege commercial banks nationwide to access cash, there are videos trending online talking about the fact that old, dirty money that have been put in circleways and even hidden under the ground are counted in the bank brought in by customers. Several videos have also surfaced online showing frustrated customers vandalizing bank properties due to their inability to get cash from the banks and also the ATM systems.
At least 13 people have been killed by a wildfire raging through parts of Chile. Dozens of blazes sparked by a summer heat wave have destroyed homes and consumed thousands of hectares of forest in Chile.
Heading towards the heart of a blaze, trying to contain deadly wildfires. It's dangerous and almost non-stop work.
We've been working since noon yesterday. Combined with weather conditions, high temperatures and a lot of wind, they cause great destruction, both to vegetation and unfortunately structures.
A scorching heat wave is making their job harder, along with the fact that Chile is suffering from 13 years of drought. The flames have engulfed hundreds of homes and huge areas of farmland and forest in the worst affected areas.
It's terrible. Our home is the product of years of hard work by my brother. For the fire to reach here and destroy everything? No. We haven't seen anything like this since 2017. My neighbor's house is on fire. The neighbors are salvaging their belongings little by little. Help is coming, but it doesn't seem to be enough.
Chile's President Gabriel Boric promises more help is on the way.
I have instructed those in charge of national defense, the armed forces and police, to deploy throughout the territory to provide security. The state is present, fighting the fires, providing security, taking care of the victims, and doing everything that is necessary.
With the current heat wave showing no signs of cooling off soon, firefighters will need all the help they can get to put out the blazes.
A magnitude of 7.8 earthquake has knocked down multiple buildings in southeast Turkey and northern Syria. Sadly, at least 284 deaths were reported in Turkey, while 237 people died in Syria. More information in the following commentary.
A magnitude of 7.8 earthquake has knocked down multiple buildings in southeast Turkey and northern Syria. Sadly, at least 284 deaths were reported in Turkey, while 237 people died in Syria. The U.S. Geological Survey said the earthquake was centered about 33 kilometers from Gaziantep, a major city and provincial capital. It was about 18 kilometers deep, and a strong 6.7 aftershock rumbled about 10 minutes later. The tremor was also felt in Cyprus and Lebanon. The Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said on Twitter that search and rescue teams were immediately dispatched to the areas hit by the earthquake. In northwest Syria, the opposition Syria Civil Defense described the situation in the rebel-held region as disastrous, adding that an entire building had collapsed and people were trapped under the rubble. Report states that large trucks are coming in to provide help to the population in the affected area, while Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is reportedly on his way to the affected area. Teams from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry were also heading there to help manage the livestock, which the population is highly dependent on. Schools in the 10 provinces will remain closed for a week. At least 284 people died in Turkey and more than 2,300 have been injured, stated the Vice President Fuat Oktay. The Vice President added that 1,718 buildings have collapsed and search and rescue operations are ongoing in several major cities. The healthcare system in Syria is overwhelmed by the number of people in need of medical attention, especially as some hospitals have been damaged by the quake. Rescue teams are carrying out a frantic search for survivors trapped under the tangles of metal and chunks of concrete in cities and towns across Turkey and Syria. The earthquake came as the region is experiencing a snowstorm that is expected to continue until Thursday.
On his final day in South Sudan, Pope Francis made another appeal for peace in the country as he celebrated Mass on Sunday in front of a congregation of thousands of people. More information in the following report.
On his final day in South Sudan, Pope Francis made another appeal for peace in the country. As he celebrated Mass on Sunday in front of a congregation of thousands, Francis begged South Sudanese people to lay down their weapons and forgive one another. In an address, he said,
Even if our hearts bleed for the wrongs we've suffered, brothers and sisters, he says, let us refuse once and for all to repay evil with evil, and we will grow healthy within. Let us accept one another and love one another with sincerity and generosity as God loves us. Let us cherish the good that we are and not allow ourselves to be corrupted by evil.
The pontiff urged people in South Sudan, the world's youngest country, to lay down their weapons and forgive one another. The nation continues to be affected by the civil war.
This country, so beautiful yet ravaged by violence, he says, needs the light that each one of you has, or better, the light that each one of you is. Dear brothers and sisters, I pray that you will be salt that spreads, dissolves and seasons South Sudan with the fraternal taste of the gospel.
Which led to its independence in 2011. President Salva Kiir, his longtime rival, Riek Machar, and other opposition groups signed the peace agreement in 2018, but the deal's provisions, including the formation of a national unified army, remain largely unimplemented and fighting has continued to flare. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, and the moderator of the Church of Scotland, the retired Reverend Leanne Greenshields, who joined Pope Francis in South Sudan and accompanied him on the flight back to Rome.
The 54th annual Cairo International Book Fair is taking place against the backdrop of a deep economic crisis. Now, Egypt's currency, the pound, halved in value and prices skyrocketed in the past year, with inflation hitting 21.9% in December.
The 54th annual Cairo International Book Fair is taking place against the backdrop of a deep economic crisis in Egypt. Egypt's currency, the pound, halved in value and prices skyrocketed in the past year, with inflation hitting 21.9% in December. The situation in Egypt, the rising dollar exchange rate and the import crisis have led to a major increase in the publishing cost, including papers, inks, etc. Since all the materials are imported, books are now quite expensive for everyone. In addition, they are considered as an entertainment product. Egypt's publishing industry, historically a key exporter of Arabic literature, has already shown signs of trouble. As the pound plummeted, the price of basic paper stock quadrupled, forcing publishers to decrease commissions and print fewer books per edition. Organizers say the Arab world's largest book fair led more than 500,000 visitors on its opening weekend, but with publishing houses already struggling to cover the rising cost of printing, many fear this won't translate into sales.
The situation in Egypt, the rising dollar exchange rate and the import crisis have led to a major increase in the publishing cost, including paper, ink, etc., since all the materials are imported. Therefore, books are now quite expensive for everyone. In addition, they are considered as an entertainment product. As some publishing houses adapt to survive and offer discounts to attract clients, others collapsed altogether. Some publishers have decided to withdraw from the market because books are a luxury product. They'll inevitably be less of a priority when people need to budget for the basics. Many of the exhibiting publishers offer discounts. For example, if you buy 5 or 10 books, you get big discounts. Of course, only a few people can afford buying 10 books. So usually, friends decide to buy books from the same place to get them discounted.
To sensitize readers, Egypt's Publishers Association have encouraged sellers to give readers the option of buying books in installments through popular buy now, pay later services. Publishing houses also bank on different strategies. If the price of new books increase by up to double, in a corner of the fair, vendors from Cairo's iconic Asbakia second-hand book market appear unfazed by the economic downturn, with most volumes going for under £20 or about less than $1. Buying used books or pirated print from AFRCA has become a necessity for some people.
Good day, dear viewers. You're still tuned in to Golfe Africa. It's still the 1 p.m. news with Hazel OGOIGBE, and this is the newspaper review segment. So let's get started with the pages of This Day Nigeria. Let's talk about the stories that have been making the round since last week. And the story is talking about Naira scarcity. And it says, Peter Obi, apparently the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi calls for calm and appeals to Nigerians to bear with the federal government of Nigeria and also bear with the Central Bank of Nigeria. Still on the pages of the This Day newspaper, the story is talking about public assets. And it says, APC, PCC, Aso Rock Cabal wants pliable successor to Buhari. Below that story, Atiku, who is the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Tinubu has history of appropriating public assets on the pages of the This Day newspaper. Now, I'm going to be crossing away from the pages of the This Day. Let's see what is happening on the front page, Liberia. Now, let's take the pages of the front page, Liberia. On the front page, Liberia, I can see a story talking about we are the president of Liberia. Now, let's see what that story has in store for us. Okay, here we go. Now, it's saying thousands gathered to call, this is a story I'm reading, thousands gathered to call on football legend George Weah to run for Liberia's highest office for the second time, pushing Weah through again on the pages of the front page Liberia. And it's talking about the loafer dilemma on the front page. And still on the front page, NEC must put foot down on the front page. And this last story says, gradually ending female genital cutting. Every time I read stories like this, I'm always super excited because we have some really archaic practices that are detrimental to the health of human beings. Genital mutilation is really detrimental to the health of the female species. And positive news talking about Liberia saying it is gradually coming to an end. And that is all I'll be taking from the pages of the front page Liberia. Moving on from the front page Liberia, let's cross over to the pages of the Guardian Post Cameroon. Now let's expand that a bit. On the pages of the Guardian Post Cameroon, the top stories that is trending, it's a story of clash talking about conflict. And it's saying Bamwa Tika clash degenerates, Magba Palace invaded, partially burnt, Cameroon flags brought down, traditional rulers and cast set ablaze, 3 Tikas kidnapped, and West Regional Governor Awafonko and firefighter to restore order. On the pages of the Guardian Post Cameroon, and still on the Guardian Post Cameroon, Bafwa State protest against Bakundu overbearing domination. And below that story, it says Mokumbi Credit Union announces mouth-watering offers for members on the pages of the Guardian Post. Now let's take this down. Still on the pages of the Guardian Post, it says Minister Nalova Lilonga drums importance of bilingualism. What does it mean to be bilingual? A bilingual person is somebody that understands 2 languages fluently. For example, all the francophones, Beninese that understand English are bilingual because they can conveniently communicate in English, and they can also conveniently communicate in French. So when you can communicate in 2 languages, Spanish and French, French and English, English and Chinese, then you are bilingual. And the concept of being bilingual can never be overemphasized, because your job opportunities are, you have a lot of doors that open for you once you are bilingual. All right, crossing away from that, let's see the story trending on The Citizen Tanzania. This is my best story because it's always stories of hope and stories of development. Now, what does The Citizen Tanzania have in store for us today? Let's go. Now, hope as key dry port facility set to start this month, and it's saying the Kuala dry port is set to begin operations this month as the government awaits a bonded warehouse license from Taxman. Still on the pages of The Citizen Tanzania, the story says of Samia's reforms and CCM's longevity. And still on the pages of The Citizen Tanzania, it says auction of onions to protect farmers from exploitation on the pages of The Citizen Tanzania. And DRC calls for a ceasefire hold ground. There's been conflict between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, and the conflict has been going back and forth, accusations flying in the atmosphere, which has led to a very tense atmosphere between the DRC and Uganda. Now, I'm going to take the last dailies for today before I end today's newspaper review, coming to you live and direct from Golfe TV Africa here in the city of Cotonou. Now, let's take that. On the pages of the Daily News, the story reads, it says, Daily News doesn't really have much today. The Daily News says, ED spurns CCC dialogue appeal on the Daily News Zimbabwe. And our dear viewers, this is where I'm going to conclude today's edition of the African Newspaper Review, coming to you live and direct from Golfe TV Africa here in the city of Cotonou. And this is why I also conclude today's news edition, coming to you live and direct from Golfe TV Africa with Hazel OGOIGBE. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day.